Can I have everyone's attention? Everyone?
A lump formed in the pit of my stomach as I realized she'd decided to make a spectacle of us on her very first day in front of the entire school. All eyes in the orb swung to us as silence fell amongst the gathering students. I noticed several older men and women lining the edges of the room and spotted Orion amongst them, which I guessed meant they were the faculty. Their eyes were on us too, and I promptly looked away.
I'd really rather not make a fuss.
My gaze slid over the crowd and locked on the group of guys sitting around the fire. They were looking at us curiously now, and I tried not to let my gaze linger on them too long. Somehow, they commanded the room, despite the fact that it was filled with more people than I could count. The guy on the right tilted his head to the side, his long chestnut hair tipping over his fist as he leaned his chin against his knuckles. There was something deeply animal in the way he eyed us, and I found myself lifting my chin, refusing to cower beneath the challenge in his earthy brown eyes.
This year's attendees have been joined by two particularly important girls. I am delighted to announce that we have recovered the missing Vega heirs and brought them back under the protection of our great nation. For 17 years, the Vega twins were lost to us, believed to be dead. But to our great surprise, with the surfacing of their powers on their 18th birthday, we were able to track them down in the mortal realm and return them to their rightful place amongst us.
Silence had built in the room, and I held my breath as I waited for someone to break it. A tall, broad-shouldered girl with long brown hair leapt to her feet. She started applauding so quickly that her hands were almost a blur, and the wide smile on her face looked more than a little manic. Her movement set off a little tidal wave of enthusiastic applauders who were dotted around the room, though there were still plenty of people sitting stock still and seeming less than impressed with my sister and me. I wasn't sure which response was worse. I glanced back at the couch, dominated by the four heartbreakers, just as the final guy was leaning forward to get a better look at us. He rested his elbows on his knees, his dark eyes crawling over my flesh in a way that made heat rise along my spine. He was broader than the others, his muscles tight beneath a maroon t-shirt which clung to the curves of his powerful frame. His hair was jet black, and just long enough to shadow his eyes as it spilled over his forehead. Ink lined his biceps, disappearing beneath the short sleeves of his t-shirt, the designs intricate. His face was cut from my very own personal fantasy, as if someone had delved into my deepest desires and drawn them into strong angles and perfect temptation, made just for me. My eyes wandered over his muscular body, his mouth, the stubble, gracing his jaw, his mouth again. His eyes meet mine for a moment, and I felt like a lamb caught in the paws of a lion. He was dangerous in all the right ways, and I knew without a doubt that the fire in his eyes would burn me up if I strayed too close. The applause took way too long to run its course, and our number one fan was the last to stop. She reclaimed her chair but didn't tear her adoring gaze from us for a second. We were left standing there as 1,000 pairs of eyes ripped us apart, curiosity ready to tear every secret from us.